Great good morning, everyone. It is 9:12 a.m. on my Cordaro Jewelers watch. This beautiful Tuesday, May 5th, year of our Lord 2026, Cinco de Mayo. This is the Bob Cordaro Show. I am he, broadcasting today from the United States of America, the place where the brave, like the veterans we salute today, through John Basiliga and his great Serenity Care senior care community. Veterans we've lost this year, but we honor them today thanks to John. Like Nona Wartella, late of Connecticut, but he was from Edwardsville. Frank Howatch, Sawyersville. Jack Saravitz, Scranton. Scott Sands, Plains Township. James Eshelman, Scranton. George Poppy Capo, Dixon City. Barry Ribble, late of Washington, but he was from Stillwater. And Ted Stemrick, Nescapec. The United States of America, founded with a certain knowledge and understanding by our amazing, irreplaceable, and profoundly wise founding fathers who knew that government should not be, could not be, and never would be in the United States of America our parent, our guide, our direction, our salvation. Not any of these things. Because if government has power, it always means less freedom, less liberty, and less choice for Americans. Our great founding fathers knew that government power, because of human nature and what they do with power, should only be a necessary evil designed, I'm touching on the wrong, should only be a necessary evil designed to protect an organized society. The United States of America, where the first time in human history, freedom was declared by law to be an unalienable right granted to each individual by God. Freedom couldn't be parceled out to groups or controlled by government or government officials because our great American Constitution ensures and codifies freedom of speech, freedom of religion, freedom of association, economic freedom, and even freedom of the press, no matter how they abuse it. Now, because they were armed with these freedoms, and only because of that fact, a ragtag bunch of immigrants, many of them rejects from around the world, they and their progeny created the richest, most powerful, most culturally diverse and accepting nation ever to grace our planet Earth. America, the only place specifically invented and designed so that every American can live their life in the manner they choose, unlimited by their background, upbringing, race, color, or creed, unhindered by the government or those who would use government to control others for their own comfort, benefit, or power. This Bob Cordaro Show will always be convincingly conservative, lovingly logical, proudly and passionately patriotic, and reliably right. And so, we gavel to order today's meeting of the Club for Common Sense, promising you that our total, immersive, and movable commitment to common sense will provide a sanctuary of sanity to all of you who hearken here for the balance of this singular, extraordinary morning. And they all are, aren't they? Just a gentle warning. This is not a safe harbor for stupidity. Silliness like that will be roundly, and dare I say harshly, attacked throughout the program. We will not suffer fools gladly, and their foolishness and ignorance, willful or otherwise, will be called out with intent, purpose, and vigor. Because it is sadly necessary to save our great republic from evil, senselessness, and weakness, which can bring down this noble and incredibly successful experiment. Well, here we are. Guys, by the way, great to be with you. You know that. I was listening to the press conference on from the Defense Department regarding the Iran incursion, the Iran conflict. I don't know. I really like him. I don't want you to mistake me, but I don't know when I find Hegseth irritating during these events. Not when he's answering questions, when he's reading prepared remarks. I don't know. There's just something irritating about it. Well, we started today, of course, with Red Skelton, with our Pledge of Allegiance, but we try to do that at least once a week. But and Tom from Dallas says it, the Marco Rubio speech. It is one of the most direct, and it's not that long. I'm telling you, he's a clear star of this administration, and I will argue, and I thought it was Mike Pompeo. Henry Kissinger, too many games, too much backbiting, too much bureaucracy. Yeah, Henry Kissinger, not a great Secretary of State. Very intelligent guy, all that. I would always listen to him, even in moments of disagreement, but no. Pompeo was the best. I didn't think he'd get better, and I was wishing he brought Pompeo back. I'm looking at Marco Rubio, and I'm like, wow. He's incredible. And this speech directly to the Europeans. By the way, following up on an amazing speech by Vice President Vance, trying to wake up these Europeans. Nuts. Somebody texts in, Bob, LTS. LTS, back at you. I just want to say how much I appreciate the opening of your show. It is such heartfelt dignity and truth. I'm always amazed at how many people love this country. We really need to keep up the work of staying strong and sensible, no matter what the left throws our way. God bless America and you, Bob. Thank you. And people talk, well, don't do that whole thing every day. No. And I've got to tell you, one of the things, you can't read the Constitution. It's too long. But I may be able to read the Declaration of Independence. Like, this stuff is foundational. It's everything. Everything. It's what we have to fight for. It's the reason, and thank God I'm asked to be a loudmouth on the radio. You're asked to vote common sense. Democrat, Republican, doesn't matter. You're asked to vote common sense, which would vote out a vast majority of Democrats. It really would. It's crazy where they've brought us. Absolutely insane. It's frightening, but thank you for that. But yeah, that Rubio speech, Bulldog, put it in the folder. We've got to keep playing that. It is exactly what the Europeans have to absorb, and there are leaders and there are people in Europe who want that. Don't write them off just yet. By the way, I'm wearing my Camp Freedom t-shirt today. You know, that amazing facility for Gold Star families and our veterans and our first responders, where they get to go out in the woods and just experience nature, maybe hunting, maybe whatever. Just north of Carbondale. It's an awesome place. So I try to wear this once a week because on the live stream, you go to YouTube and go WILK Bob Cordaro, you'll find live this deal. And it's brought to you by Roach Supply. And the Roach family, they are the premier bath and kitchen supplier in Northeast Pennsylvania. They're celebrating 75 years in business. Ron Roach in his 90s. I think his father started the business, but he was there from the very beginning. And when you're 75 years in business, you know what that means? It's like our friends at Picardo's. It means you're great at what you do. It means you're honest to deal with. And it means you get the job done. RoachSupply.com, ROCHE. We'll take a break. We'll be back. It's the Bob Cordaro Show. You almost think Elvis is mocking himself there, right? Murph tells us this date, 1956. Elvis Presley made history by having the #1 album chart hit Elvis and #1 single, this song, Heartbreak Hotel. Well, you would think they would go together, but I guess not. Bob Cordaro back with you on the eponymous program. We've got craziness. Somebody texting in $4.59 gas in Dallas. There is short-term headaches. Now, what is strange in a way, but I think it's because of great policy, economic policy. We haven't experienced inflation except really at the gas pump. Now, it's got to hit at some point because diesel is even higher, in at least from my cursory review of it, is even higher than our own gas prices are. But I will tell you again, I've got 5 grandchildren. I will accept if people are that weak, I will accept. And by the way, it's our job to make them not be that weak. You know, they're inconvenienced. They got to pay more money when they go for gas, all those kinds of things. Fine. But this is to save the planet. It's nothing short of that. That is not a stretch. The Iranians who we're attacking, the Iranians who we are putting down, it was and is fully their intention to bring about their version of the apocalypse. They've stated it over and over and over and over again. Anyone who doesn't agree with that they're wrong. They're not paying attention. They don't care, or they're lying. Now, number 2. Well, okay, it's Iran. How could they bring about their version of the apocalypse, bringing back their 12th imam? Well, I'll tell you how. By obtaining a nuclear weapon. They can attack in the Middle East, even without their ballistic missiles, which they've already proven can travel 2,500 miles, which exposes Europe, all of the Middle East. So they could throw this world into chaos with one nuclear device. And they say they intend to use it. They're getting it to use it. So I will save. I'll pay more for gas. It could be as much as $20 extra when you fill up. I will pay that price gladly for what we are doing against Iran right now. Somebody says, oh, okay, but climate change isn't worth saving ourselves from. No, it isn't. It's a fake. It's a scam. No, it is not. We've played the clips for you. I may miss it a little bit, but the scientific fact is, here's just so you know it, and it bears repeating consistently for those of you who've been indoctrinated. And I don't ascribe any ill intentions to most of the people who are worried about climate change. Number one, it's been happening forever. Number two, Carbon dioxide, the big enemy, which, by the way, no green life, none, could exist without it. Plants, trees, all, they breathe. Their oxygen is carbon dioxide. We absolutely need it. It's beyond necessary. Number one. Number two, it is 0.04% of the atmosphere. And guess what? Human factors contribute 14% of that 0.4%. Please tell me what I'm missing here. Oh, and by the way, if they were serious about it, none of them would be flying their private jets and their huge yachts. By the way, to climate conferences. Number two, these people who are foisting this upon you, their solution was battery-powered cars, which require coal, 25% coal, supposedly the dirtiest energy on the planet, to give them the electricity. Their main solution was battery-powered cars, which are worse for the environment net. Please, stop. You fell for it. But don't hang on to it like an idiot once you know the facts. Yeah, they don't. No. They're wedded to the facts. They're wedded to the lies. And you're stuck with it. I can't help you. Hey, we got to take a break. We'll be back with our Veterans Tribute, our weather, and more on the Bob Cordaro Show. Our Veterans Tribute today, brought to you by our man, John Basiliga, and his Serenity Care personal care community. 4 locations in the Mid-Valley section of Lackawanna County, also in Old Forge, Lackawanna County, Wyoming, and Kingston. Personal care and dementia care services, dementia care units at the Mid-Valley and Kingston locations. Everything. All 4 of these facilities completely renovated inside and out, accepting new residents. All-inclusive monthly rent, newly renovated state-of-the-art private and semi-private rooms, suites, and companion suites. Individual heating and cooling in each resident room. Emergency call systems, medication administration, daily housekeeping and laundry. Restaurant quality meals. The gold standard of senior care, because John Basiliga has a passion for providing the highest quality senior care, and he's done it. Serenity Care. George Poppy Capo. He was 85. We lost him April 17th. He was from Dixon City. Born in New York City, Manhattan specifically. He was a 1957 graduate of Manhattan High School, a member of St. Paul's Catholic Church in Scranton. He worked as a chemist and a biologist in sewage and water. And then, because he had all kinds of talents, he was an installer of kitchen and bathrooms for Lowe's Home Improvement after a completely different career. He was a carpenter, hands of gold. Honorably served his country in the United States Army during the Vietnam War, 1966 to 1972. Among other places, he was stationed at Fort Hamilton, New York, military police. Also, APO in the 8th Army, 7th Infantry Division. Poppy truly lived his life to the fullest and will be greatly missed by his family and friends. He's survived by his spouse, Rita, his daughter and son-in-law, his granddaughter, and his son, Keith Capo. Poppy Capo. James Eshelman. He was 80 when we lost him April 17th. Born in Scranton, he lived a full and meaningful life, dedicated to his family, his passions, and his service to his country. He graduated from the great Scranton Technical High School and served in the Pennsylvania National Guard, as well as the U.S. Army, in Korea, Vietnam, and Germany. His time in the military was a source of pride and honor throughout his life. James is survived by his beloved wife of 52 years, Paula, his son, his grandson, his sister, tragically preceded in death by his son, Scott. He also lost 7 dear siblings. In addition to his love for family, James enjoyed coin collecting, delighted in being outdoors, and cherished spending time with his grandson, Blake. Those that knew him well will remember him for the warmth he brought to everyone and his gentle smile that lit up a room. James Eshelman. Our great veterans this hour brought to you by John Basiliga and Serenity Care, the gold star of senior care in Northeast PA. AccuWeather forecast brought to you by the great gang up at Montage Mountain. Well, AccuWeather tells us breezy this morning with a thunder shower in spots early. The streets were wet. Partly sunny and warm, 83 degrees. That sounds great. Tonight, a couple of showers late, low 58. Tomorrow, breezy and cooler with periods of rain, high 66, low 43. Thursday, breezy with variable cloudiness. A brief shower in the afternoon, high 58, low 39. Friday, breezy with a blend of sun and clouds, 60 degrees, low of 45. Saturday, cloudy and cool with a couple of showers, high 58, low 56. And that's your weather, brought to you by the amazing gang at Montage Mountain Resort, where they are swinging into spring. Johnny Cash. They were two of my favorites. Right in a row, Murph tells us he released his hit, I Walk the Line, this date, 1956. And that's something. Same day as Elvis was number one, top to bottom. Great stuff, huh? Johnny Cash. Johnny Cash and Elvis were my favorites as a kid. They really were. Well, Steppenwolf, all that. All right, let's quickly go to the blower. We got John from Benton. John, how are you?
I'm fine. Yourself, Bob?
Doing great, thank you.
That's good to hear. About the climate control thing.
Yes.
If you go back in the Wayback Machine to when the pandemic started, that archway over there in India, and they stopped driving over there before the pandemic, and they stopped driving, you couldn't even see that thing standing right in front of it. 2 weeks after, you could see it. The air cleared up like you would not believe.
Mm-hmm.
And one more thing, with the gas prices, it says that all the gas takes 10% ethanol. So if I'm not getting 100% of a product, why aren't they taking 10% off the price?
Yeah, because the government does everything wrong. That's part of the reason. They're forcing the ethanol mandate.
I think Stevie Wonder could see that one coming.
Yeah. It's true.
But, all right, Bob, I appreciate your time.
All right, my man. Thank you, John. Appreciate it, too. Hey, let's go to Wayne from Einen. Wayne, how are you?
Very good, Robert. And how are you today? How was your weekend? I hope well.
All's well. All's well.
Did you get the clubs out yet, or did you find any clubs?
I found my old clubs. Now, they were good clubs. They were Callaways when Callaway first came out. So I'll survive the golf season without buying new ones.
Okay, because that hole-in-one out there is waiting for you. You know that.
You know it, baby.
Here's my comment. LTS about the show, okay? And I think the way you start that show every morning anymore, okay, people need to hear that because they have to be reminded that if you give up anything from our Constitution, you will never get it back.
Amen.
Yep, you will never get it back.
And everything's on the precipice now. Look at these fools, these fools who are attacking ICE and who want to keep – they want the lawbreakers to be rewarded by breaking our laws. It's insane.
Right. That's what I said. Once you lose that, that's just one thing. Once you lose that, you lose another one. Then you lose another one.
Yep.
You can't give up anything. You can't give up. You just can't do it, Bobby.
I agree. And I mean,
I just want to let you know.
That's coming from a veteran who fought in Vietnam. I mean,
yes,
Wayne,
yes,
you're right. And by the way, what was in the water at Scranton Tech in the fountains, because we all drank from fountains back then. What was in the fountains that made so many Scranton Tech graduates? That's why I always say the great Scranton Tech, because of my grandmother went there, my friend Red McAndrew. But what made,
I knew Red very well.
Yeah, what made, I don't know, was this a hotbed of patriots and military? Yeah. Unbelievable.
Yes, it was. Yes, it was, Bobby. Yep, we lost 7 people from that class. My class.
Yeah.
Vietnam.
In Vietnam. Wow.
Yep, in Vietnam. Yes, we lost 7 people.
Remarkable.
In Vietnam.
Remarkable.
I made it home, thank God, but I'm just saying we lost 7 people. But, yeah, that's the way I feel. People have got to be told every day, reminded every day. You give up anything, you will never get it back.
Well, there's an old adage in radio and advertising. As soon as you are nauseated from repeating something, they're just starting to hear it.
Right.
So, Wayne, thank you, my man. Always a pleasure.
Yeah, I just want to let you know that the Queen City Tavern had very cold beer this weekend.
Oh, nice, nice. We know they do. Thank you, man. Picardo says it's 9:50. The Beatles. Murph tells us this date, 1969, they released their hit, Get Back. Bob Cordaro back with you on the program. Let's go right to the blower. We got Joe from Plains. Joe, how are you?
Good, Bob. How are you?
Great.
Listen, I just wanted to share my observations here. And you don't have to go back too far. I mean, I've been tracking gasoline. I bought my first mountain bike 23 years ago as an adult because of the price of gas and in my way of saying you're not going to get me. This is it's an assault on American citizens by corporations, by non-citizens of this country who own these stations. I mean, if you look at it's all coordinated, the price moves the same time between the same people on the same block. Even places like Sam's Club, you know, you pay to be a member of Sam's Club and think you're getting a little bit better price on gas, but they're not even the lowest price around. But if you go back just a month or so, oil went up to $115 a barrel, and gasoline was right around $4 a gallon. Now oil's at $105 a barrel, and gasoline is up over $4.50. So there's only one explanation for that, and that's we're getting gouged. As much as they can get us, they're getting it from us right now. There's no reason for it to be this high, and the only way that we can answer them is to get all the citizens together and form some kind of an alliance that we're gonna protest by doing certain things against gas prices, against utility prices, against food prices. You know, whether it's just stand outside their businesses with a sign or in groups and go to meetings or whatever it is. We need to shake up the system here because it's not helping the American citizen anymore. And I believe that Pennsylvania is supposed to have a department that, you know, watches for this type of thing, but they're not doing anything either.
I don't know. I honestly don't agree with you that it's a conspiracy. I think it's what is. That's where I come down on it.
Well, I mean, it's not a conspiracy, but it sure looks that way when.
Yeah, no. A lot of things look like
the same gas stations have the same prices every day.
Yeah.
You know, but you have to take. I mean, you have to take in the information that a month ago, at $105 a barrel, gas was 50 cents cheaper than it is right now.
Mm-hmm.
Or at $115 a barrel. I'm sorry, it was 50 cents cheaper than it is now, and the only reason is they've got an excuse to raise the prices. Incrementally they're getting us.
We're getting whacked. There's no doubt about it. I just don't know that it's some intentional gouging. But by the way, you're not alone in your opinion. Joe, we got to go because it's news time. Bacardo's tells me it's 10 o'clock. It's after 10 o'clock. So we got to go to the news with Brian Hughes. Let's do that, and then we'll return. It's the Bob Cordaro Show. Great good morning, everyone. My Cordaro Jewelers watch tells me it's 10:08 and change this beautiful Tuesday, May 5, 2026 here in the great Northeast. This is the Bob Cordaro Show. I am he, and it's a big day to fight for America, defend our values, and honor, with the help of our man John Basiliga and his great Serenity Care personal care community, the brave who have made us and kept us free. People like veterans we've lost this year, but celebrate today thanks to John. Like James Eshelman, Scranton, George Poppy Capo, Dixon City, Nona Wartella, late of Connecticut, but he was from Edwardsville, Frank Howatch, Sawyersville, Jack Saravitz, Scranton, Scott Sands, Plains Township, Barry Ribble, late of Washington, but he was from Stillwater, and Ted Stemrick, Nescapec Township. So with history, our amazing founding fathers, who we will not allow to be canceled, and the incomparable Constitution of the United States of America as our guides, let us continue today's battle. Gaveling back to order this meeting of the Club for Common Sense, promising you that our deep and unalterable commitment to common sense will provide a sanctuary of sanity for all who hearken here. Well, we're back. I just want to remind you, you could check out my smiling moon face, and sometimes I'm scowling, by going to YouTube. And you just put Bob Cordaro, WILK, and you'll find me. I've got the green Camp Freedom t-shirt on today. Roach Supply brings you all that. And who's Roach Supply, you ask? I said, well, they're the premier bath and kitchen supplier in Northeast Pennsylvania, celebrating 75 years in business. The fourth generation. Ron Roach, a veteran, still getting it done in his 90s, as are his kids and his grandkids. Quite amazing. So when you're 75 years in business, you know you're doing it right. Visit Roach Supply, ROCHE.com today. And this hour of the program brought to you by our friend, our ray of sunshine, Tina Morocco, Global Sales Advisor at Sotheby's International in Naples, Florida. She just gets it done. You can check her out and get in touch with her by getting in touch with Sotheby's International in Naples, or direct to her own website, Tina Morocco, MURACCO.com. She's your trusted guide for Florida real estate, and she is a specialist in Southwest Florida. You hear it when she comes on. Well, we are fortunate. We've got an awful governor. I mean, he's got so many people fooled. I can't believe it. I could go through the litany and let you know that he's a left-wing wacko. And he covers it up and he lies about it and he pretends. And that's why we pay $3 million for his TikTok team out of your tax dollars. But we are blessed with Stacey Garrity, our great state treasurer, and she found a running mate who we just love. We've had him on before, but he's with us now. Lieutenant Governor candidate on the Republican primary, Jason Ritchie. Mr. Ritchie, welcome back to the Bob Cordaro Show.
Thanks for having me back, Bob.
Hey, anytime. And I when I said that, I meant it, because you're great, and we're so happy to have you on the ticket. Now, for those who were not listening, first time you're on, and many that aren't following closely, give us a little bit of your background, Jason.
Yeah, I grew up in a place called Aliquippa in western Pennsylvania. I was a wrestler, and I went to law school and worked my way through in the summers, working in a steel mill, doing some hard labor in 130-degree heat.
I love that.
And then from law school, I've worked for an international law firm. I do energy, construction, manufacturing law all over the world. And I also do a lot of bid protest law, which is finding corruption and bias in government procurement.
Oh, and there's some of that.
Yeah.
It's just
Well,
whether you can find it or not.
It's a perfect. My background's perfect for exactly what we need to do to turn this state around from the last horrible 12 years of Wolf and Shapiro. And also, maybe some of your listeners know, but I did run for governor 4 years ago, and I'm also currently the chairman of the Allegheny County Republican Party.
Well, that's great stuff. So, Jason Ritchie, how have you been finding the campaign trail? What I'm told is that you're getting, and Stacey's getting, received very positively everywhere you go.
Enormously great response. I obviously have a primary coming up, and I'm on the second ballot position here on May 19th, so got to get over that. But Stacey and I have been working as a team. She asked me to run with her and to govern with her, which, is fantastic. And I think, kind of in your lead in there, one of the things that has been very eye-opening for people as we lay out the case that Josh Shapiro is a fraud. He tries to pretend that he is something he's not. He spends $12 million a year on PR campaigns to make him look like he's something. But this guy, as you said, is a flaming liberal. Supports abortion on demand up until the day of birth. He, when Republicans passed a bill that would prevent men from being in girls' sports, he called our senators extremists. He's filed a lawsuit to make sure that kids under the age of 18 can get health care to transition their genders, both mutilation and hormonal therapy. And he's just run the state into the ground. We're currently the 41st out of 50 in overall performance by U.S. News and World Report. 7 out of 10 eighth graders are not proficient in reading or math. You picked the category, Bob.
Yeah.
This state is being run into the ground. We cannot have 4 more years of this. And the charlatan, has this public relations campaign that has worked so far. But he's never had a fighter like Stacey Garrity and Jason Ritchie against him. And so we're excited. The people are excited. And, we're ready to get at it once we get past this primary.
Jason Ritchie is our guest. He is our candidate for lieutenant governor. We're urging you to get out and vote. Make sure you vote for him because it's a contested primary. Jason, one of the things that people tend to forget, I don't know why, but they do, is that he was the henchman. Shapiro was the henchman for Governor Wolf in his oppressive COVID measures and followed through on everything. He also followed through as Attorney General in suing to make sure that we could have an opportunity for voting fraud in this state. I mean, he's been part of the problem for years and years now.
Oh, absolutely. And, one of the reasons I ran for governor is because of that COVID situation, us locked up, our liberties being extorted by Governor Wolf, and the Attorney General is supposed to be the one that protects us, that protects our rights. Josh Shapiro didn't do that. He does politics. He will lie. If you look at his campaign when he ran for governor, he said he was for school choice, and then when it was in front of him on his budget, he line item vetoed it out, totally went against what he said. He said he was going to get rid of Reggie right away, which is as your listeners probably know, it's a carbon tax threat for any pollution that goes up in the air. He never got rid of it. And as a result, as he was closing down coal-fired power plants in 3 Mile Island, no new energy producers came into the state because of his threats. And that's why everyone listening to this, their energy costs are up because Josh Shapiro has mismanaged Pennsylvania's economy. This guy is and there's going to be some ads going up, but he is Mr. Incompetent. And, and the reality is, Bob, he does not care about the people of Pennsylvania. He cares about running for president. This guy won't even commit to finishing his term as governor if reelected. He doesn't even want the job, and I don't know why anyone would hire someone that doesn't even want to do it.
Why is he getting away? I know there's media participation in the homage to the fake image of Josh Shapiro, but why is it getting across to people? Are you getting that sense? I know you're focusing on Republican voters now, who mostly get it, but how are you going to make the people get it overall?
Well, yeah, you're absolutely right. Like, the media has to do better. And I'll give you an example. Stacy and I went to Harrisburg, and she had a press conference where she laid out the case of the various sexual harassment allegations made in the Josh Shapiro administration against one of his top lieutenants. And she laid out the case for, deleting emails, and I think there's over $3 million in settlements paid to settle these sexual harassment cases. The media, there's a ton of media there that covered it. But was the Philadelphia Inquirer there? Nope. Did they run any stories on it? No, they ran a story about how he was a point guard at some little private school that he went to. Pittsburgh Post-Gazette, did they cover it? No. And so that is definitely a hurdle. It's one of the reasons we're going to need to continue to raise money to get to uncover and get past all this PR that he has. I think we can do it. He has never been tested in any kind of competitive race ever, and he's got a lot of stuff he's hiding.
Jason Ritchie, our candidate for lieutenant governor in the Republican primary. What can people do to help Jason Ritchie get elected? Because in this race, just to remind people, it's a separate elective position, meaning the Republican nomination for lieutenant governor. What can they do specifically to help Jason Ritchie this spring? And it's coming up, man.
It's coming up. It's May 19th, 14 days away. And, yeah, my opponent would be an absolute disaster for the party. And, I have the endorsement of the party. I have the endorsement of Stacy. Senator McCormick asked me to do this. And I need all your listeners. You can find me on richie4pa.com. Richie's RICHEY. Please donate. Find me on social media, Facebook, Instagram, TikTok. Find me, like me, share me, get my name out there. One of the fears we have is that if people don't know either name, they tend to pick the top choice, and that would be a disaster here. So get my name out there, word of mouth, everything you can do. And then most importantly, please vote for me, Jason Ritchie, on May 19th, second ballot position.
Well, you're our guy. If Stacey Garrity had to go to Central Casting to get her lieutenant governor candidate who would balance and give her the best shot to beat Josh Shapiro, you would be it. So we're excited for your running. We appreciate your running. We really, really do.
Well, thank you, Bob. I really appreciate that. And I'm excited to partner with someone like Stacey, who, quite frankly, is the exact opposite of Josh Shapiro. She is such a good person. She's such a fighter, hard worker. I'm really proud to be partnered with her in this.
Well, keep this number on speed dial, because between 9 and noon, you even want to just say your name once, you just call. All right?
All right, Bob. Thank you.
Jason Ritchie, our candidate for lieutenant governor. He's the man. I'm telling you, this guy is fantastic. He is fantastic. You look him up. RACHEY. He's our lieutenant governor candidate. Hey, let's take a break. It's the Bob Cordaro Show. Conquer. Day. Got a Nikon camera. I love that song. Murph tells us this date, 1973. Paul Simon released his hit Kodachrome. It is a great song. And 1891 this date. Fred Duckman would love this one. New York's Carnegie Hall, then known as Music Hall, had its official opening night, and what an opening, featuring Russian composer Peter Ilyich Tchaikovsky as a guest conductor. Wow. You know, I've never seen a performance at Carnegie Hall. I've been by it because there's a cigar place called the Carnegie Club that I go to in Manhattan, right next door. But I've never seen a performance there. I've got to rectify that. I really do. By the way, I really love Jason Ritchie. And I love Stacey Garrity. These are real people. And on a release, JB sent this to me on a very timely basis. The Garrity for PA campaign issued the following statement, calling on Governor Josh Shapiro. Here's the Democrats again with their Epstein connections, who was a Democrat, by the way, to return over $1.6 million his campaigns have received from convicted sex trafficker Jeffrey Epstein's associate, Reid Hoffman, another left-wing lunatic. Netflix. Yeah. This week's release of the Epstein files found that LinkedIn co-founder Reid Hoffman was mentioned nearly 2,600 times. And he's given millions to left-wing politicians across the country. $1.6 million from Reid Hoffman. Absolute disgrace. Thanks for that, JB. Oh, yeah, by the way, JB also sent a little picture with Alex Soros. They're standing there taking a picture arm in arm. It was great to see one of the stars of American politics the other day, Governor Josh Shapiro of Pennsylvania. Congratulations to him and all the work he has done to enhance access to the ballot. The little scumbag Soros. Dear Lord Almighty. Frightening stuff. Joe Biden banner disgrace. The Green Ridge Neighborhood Association mistakenly, wrongly placed the hometown hero banner on North Washington Avenue to honor Joe Biden as a veteran, but he wasn't. He dodged service. And now, 141 days later, The banner is still there even after they found out they were wrong. The Biden banner disgrace continues. The disgrace of the Green Ridge Neighborhood Association continues. Day 141. Tear that banner down. Well, thinking about something disgusting like the Green Ridge Neighborhood Association and the Biden banner, we go to something great, which is Mother Teresa, St. Teresa for the day, May 5th. She says, Jesus has a deep and personal longing to have you for himself. Amen. Mother Teresa. Anyway, we're back. A bunch of texts just to touch on. Joe from Trips Parks texted in. If Britain had intervened when Hitler moved troops into the Rhineland, Nazi Germany would have never risen to power. Clinton had a chance to take out bin Laden in the 90s and also decided to do nothing. Fuel costs may be a headache, but avoiding World War III is the perfect solution. You're right. And we have to. Somebody says, oh, okay, but climate change isn't worth saving ourselves from. I discussed that. So 14% of the carbon, which is 0.4% of the atmosphere, that's worth turning everything upside down for. No, what's worth turning everything upside down for are the people who are making a fortune off climate change scam. Somebody takes in, it's time for Republicans in Congress to tell Trump to stay off the golf course and put his full attention to solving the Iran war. I don't think, I think it is actually, well, it's one of the trolls. It's actually stupid of you, as usual, to say Trump's not working hard enough. He never stops. Another Bob LTS. Now Al Gore saying we're going to be in trouble in about 12 years. Laughable. Guess who won't be around in about 12 years? Yep, Al Gore, says Slick. He's just an idiot. He said the world was already supposed to be over. What's he even doing here? Somebody texts in, okay, you're a fool. That explains it, talking about me. And another, well, the same person, you're a number 2, LOL. Yeah, that's so funny. Oh, I'm laughing. My God. What, again, that the pathology that weds people to nonsense. I can't follow it. So you get confronted with raw facts, and they just bounce off you like you're a complete idiot. I don't get it. I don't know. I mean, you got to change course when you're wrong, but these people don't do it. They won't. Like, look at the Green Ridge Neighborhood Association. They were told, hey, by the way, that's for veterans, and Biden wasn't a veteran. You know what the president of the organization's response was? Well, he took his life in his hands every time he left the White House. Oh, my God. My God. I'm telling you, these people, when they find out to their face, they find out irrefutably they're wrong, they just continue. Scary stuff. Hey, we got to take a break. Bob Cordaro, WILK. We'll be back with the Veterans Tribute, the weather, and more on the Bob Cordaro Show. Our Veterans Tribute this hour, as with every hour, this day as with every day, brought to you by our man John Basiliga. And on Tuesdays, we feature the gold standard of senior living in Northeast Pennsylvania, Serenity Care. They're located in the Mid-Valley section of Lackawanna County, Old Forge, Wyoming, and Kingston. They've been completely renovated inside and out. Everything you would want for your family member or yourself in senior living can be found there. All-inclusive monthly rent, newly renovated, private, semi-private suites, companion suites, individually controlled heating and cooling, each resident room, emergency call systems, every resident room, medication administration, daily housekeeping and laundry services, restaurant quality meals, breakfast, lunch, and dinner. Great stuff. Serenity Care. Nona Wartella, Salem, Connecticut, formerly of Edwardsville. We lost him April 13th. Frank Howatch, Sawyersville. He was 76 years old. We lost him December 30th 2 years ago. He served all of us in the Army. He operated heavy equipment for Beltrami and Canadian Pacific Railroad, hunting, gardening, and tinkering on cars. Frank Howatch. John Jack Sarovitz. We lost him April 7th. He was 79 years old. He was from Scranton. We lost him at home. Scott Sands, Plains Township. He was only 58 when he died February 8th. Born in Kingston, a graduate of Votech High School. After high school, Scott had a love for his country and joined the United States Army. During active duty, he served in the war in Afghanistan and also the Persian Gulf. Loved music. Survived by siblings and other family members. Scott Sands. Our great veterans this hour, brought to you by John Basiliga and his great Serenity Care, Senior Care, and Living Community. AccuWeather forecast brought to you by Montage Mountain Resort. Today, breezy with a thunder shower in spots early. Partly sunny and warm. It's going to get up to 83, 71 degrees at Montage Mountain right now. I'm telling you, it's like a get back to nature place. I love hanging out there. On the deck, tonight a couple of showers late, low 58. Tomorrow, breezy and cooler with periods of rain, high 66, low 43. Thursday, breezy with variable cloudiness. A brief shower in the afternoon, high 58, low 39. Friday, breezy with a blend of sun and clouds, 60 degrees, low 45. Saturday, or as Cutie would say, Saturday, cloudy and cool with a couple of showers, high 58, low 46. And that's your weather, brought to you by our great friends at Montage Mountain Resort. Steelers wheel Murph tells us they moved up to number 7 with their hit Stuck in the Middle with You. This date, 1973. Bob Cordaro back with you. Let's go to our man Donald from Pittston. Donald, how are you?
Yeah, good. I just hope they get a handle on this gasoline just because of the midterms and stuff. 'Cause I remember when the gas was high with Biden, there was like a thing on the gas pump. I did this with Biden's picture. That's the problem, Bob. It's a campaign sign on every corner. People don't like it, and the utility bill doubled. I'm not blaming Trump or anybody. I don't know what's going on with them.
Well,
the
we
water
got
bill,
problems.
like you said.
Utility bills in Pennsylvania have increased substantially because of Josh Shapiro's policies.
Okay, yeah, no, what's going on? I called them and they said silent leak. Plumber came. He said there's no leak. It's just maybe in the CEO's portfolio, sucking sound out of my wallet. But he got to address this because I'm worried now because it's going to affect Brezhnev and Muser if it's $5 a gallon. They said by June. Now these are the numbers. It started before the war. The gas was $2.98, the average,
and
it's
going
up
down.
$1.50.
And going down.
No, there's $4.48 now the average, and the diesel's $3.76, and the average is $5.66 now. It went up $1.90. Now, I just looked at the TV. It's $1.02 the barrel of oil, but like the last gentleman said, it should. Hopefully, he get this thing under control, and it could go down because he was the energy president. He said, "Drill, baby, drill," and the coal shovel and all. So, geez, I just hope he could get a handle on it and realize the serious nature of the problem. Like I said, it's
the only handle that's going to
corner.
happen, because these are anticipated prices, the only handle that can happen is they've got to fully open the Strait of Hormuz, fully crush Iran now that we're into it. Thank God he did it. And now that we're into it, fully crush them with whatever it takes. And then things will return to normal. Yeah, no, it could be too late.
But these insane Democrats, I don't want to put them back here. They have no solution. They'll go back to the Green New Deal. They'll be paying the same anyway. You know that.
Yep.
With all that nonsense, open up the borders.
For nothing, they'll be paying the same. Yeah.
Then the transgender everywhere, woman and men and women. This will be a cesspool.
Illegals,
for like 2
open
years,
border,
and then,
the whole scam comes back.
We show you what Biden would do.
Yep.
He's the one that caused all this. You know that.
Yep.
That's not why we're here, because he was incompetent with the dementia and everything. It's terrible.
Amazing.
And then they have a banner up for him, like you said. It's crazy. But I just hope he gets a handle on it. And you could help every day.
He's got
with your commentary,
but he's got to finish this off. He's got to finish it off. I think they're doing the right thing with the blockade of Iran. Putting maximum pressure on them, but it's got to work, and hopefully sooner rather than later. Thank you, Donald. Hey, Luciano, how are you, brother? We got a minute.
Thank you for taking my call. Yes, Bob, there's a book out called that says we're not all Americans. There's a very interesting immigration attorney that comes on. I listened to him on Sunday night out of Kansas City, Missouri. But anyway, he was saying that, like you had about 3 months ago, there's a reporter reporting on immigration. The true fact is most of these migrants, illegals that have invaded this country in the past 5 years are not eligible for asylum. Most of them have left Mexico, Guatemala for economic reasons.
Yep.
So under the Constitution, under immigration law, they're automatically expelled. They don't qualify, and most Americans don't realize that. And two, that most of these illegals that have entered this country illegally from as far away as South Africa, they have you cannot get criminal offenses from their foreign countries, from where they go. The United States will not be able to strategically find information what criminal civil crimes they committed in their own country,
That's right.
Bob.
You can't vet them. And here's the sad and sickening thing about this is the Democrats know that the people are moving out of their cities and states because of the failure of their policies, and they need to import people for the next census. That's what it comes down to. Their power, congressional seats that they would control, and more, and that's it. It's nuts.
And one last question, Bob. You was a professional attorney that was trained as a lawyer and got your license. this last statement that I found out that you can be stripped of your green card. You could be stripped of permanent citizenship. It's like an example the attorney gave. It's like being on probation, going to a company and being on probation for 90 days, and you committing a crime in that particular company, or your boss doesn't like you for whatever reason. You can be stripped of your green card permanent. Yep. The only way you can keep citizenship if you take what they call allegiance to the United States, and you go to the courts and you raise your hand and you stand and say, I pledge allegiance to the United States. That's the only way that you'll become an American citizen. Bob, keep up the good work, brother.
Thank you, Luciano. Well, we're heading to 10:50. That's what my Bacardi Jewelers watch says. And the sweep hand is getting there. And, in fact, it is. 10:50. We'll be back. The Cars. My Valley View buddies made me love the Cars. Bob Giambetti up in Rochester. May 5th, 1984, the Cars moving to the top 10 charts at number 6 with their 9th career hit, You Might Think. And you heard John Sterling, longtime voice of the Yankees. And by the way, another really local giant. And Ed Lynott passed away. Longtime publisher of the Scranton Times with his two brothers. He stepped in for the father when he died unexpectedly at age 59. And I mean, there was some peril, believe it or not, at that time. You know, would the newspaper survive? And Ed Lynott died. And, you know, it comes across in the article, well written by Chris Kelly, of all people. But he was always smiling, always laughing. Everybody would say, well, if you were that rich, you'd be laughing too. But no, he really was a pleasant guy, a smart guy, a good guy. And, you know, you take the three brother Lynott, who Bill, George, and Ed, when they ran the newspaper, you disagreed with them. You were you'd get angry at all of that. But I always respected them, always liked them. And I'm sad to see him passing. Ed Lynott, good guy, good guy. Tough. Look at time marches on, doesn't it? And nobody can stop it. So Ed Lynott, rest in peace. Rest in peace. And at least you don't have to see what they've done to your newspapers. That's the small consolation. By the way, this hour brought to you by Tina Morocco, Global Sales Advisor at Sotheby's International in Naples. Look her up at Sotheby's in Naples or her own website, Tina Morocco, MURACCO.com. She's your trusted guide to Florida real estate, specializing in Southwest Florida. And final mention for this hour of our great friends at Roach Supply, who bring you the live stream. And I've got my Camp Freedom shirt on today, so the live stream showing that off. It's the premier bath and kitchen supplier in Northeast Pennsylvania. 75 years in business, which means they're fair, they're honest, and they're great at what they do. Roach Supply, R-O-C-H-E, roachsupply.com. Cordaro Jewelers tells me it's 10 o'clock and change, which means we've got to go to the news. So let's do that, and then we'll be back. We've got Jim Welty from the Marcellus Shale Coalition just to tell us what's going on. He was at that big meeting with our great friend, Senator McCormick, talking about the future of energy in Pennsylvania. We'll take a break and be back. You know it, baby. Great good morning, everyone. It is 11:07 a.m. on my Picardo's Jewelers watch this beautiful Tuesday, May 5th, 2026, here in the great Northeast. This is the Bob Cordaro Show. I am he, and it's a big day to fight for America, defend our values, and honor, with the help of our man John Basiliga and his great Serenity Care senior care community, the brave who have made us and kept us free. People like veterans we've lost this year, but celebrate today thanks to John. Like Nona Wartella, late of Connecticut, but he was from Edwardsville. Frank Howatch, Sayersville. Jack Saravitz, Scranton. Scott Sands, Plains Township. James Eshelman, Scranton. George Poppy Capo, Dixon City. Barry Ribble, late of Washington, but he was from Stillwater. And Todd Stemrick, 99 years, Nescopec Township. So with history, our great founding fathers, and the incomparable Constitution of the United States of America as our guides, let us continue today's battle. Gaveling back to order after that brief news adjournment. This meeting, today's meeting, the Club for Common Sense, promising that our deep and unalterable commitment to common sense will provide a sanctuary of sanity for all of you who hearken here. Well, hey, by the way, just to mention, Roach Supply bringing you the live stream. You go to YouTube, Bob Cordaro and WILK. You'll find us. I'm in my Army Green Camp Freedom shirt. Camp Freedom, one of the greatest places on earth, just north of Carbondale. For veterans, for Gold Star family, and for first responders who just need to recenter their lives. It's the place to go. It's the place to be. But Roach Supply, premier bath and kitchen supplier in Northeast Pennsylvania, 75 years in business, means they're great, they're fair, they're honest. RoachSupply.com today, kitchen and bath, ROCHE. So yesterday, our man, Dave McCormick, he had a meeting to talk about permitting and knowing that energy is the key to the future of not only Pennsylvania, but this country's economy, particularly with the demands. It doesn't matter whether we get the 20 or 50 or 2 of the AI data centers here in Northeast Pennsylvania. Pennsylvania needs the energy. And you only need to see what gas prices and all of that are doing today because of Iran, that you'll understand, hey, we got to keep exploring and getting more and more and more for ourselves and our allies. Well, one of the groups that does as much as anybody to continue, particularly with natural gas, in the face of the Democrat Party's intransigence on energy, is the Marcellus Shale Coalition. And we've had him on before, and we've had his predecessor on, but we're now joined by Jim Welty, of the president of the Marcellus Shale Coalition. Jim, welcome back to the Bob Cordaro Show. How are you?
I am doing well, Bob. Good morning, and it's always a pleasure to be with you.
Tell us about yesterday's event. I think it was a very important event to put together and to execute.
Yeah, let me set the table with my representation of the Marcellus Shale Coalition. We are focused on natural gas development here in the Commonwealth of Pennsylvania, basically unleashing the vast energy reserves that we have here. And yesterday had the opportunity to sit down with U.S. Senator Dave McCormick to talk about his plans to help us unleash that energy and continue to support basically the American worker and the American consumer as we move forward in this competitive economy against a competitive global economy.
What? All right, tell us what do you see as the results? What are the takeaways from yesterday's event?
Yeah, so let's start here. We've got so much gas here, as you have talked about, and we have talked about many times, that we can support our domestic energy needs as well as our allies across the pond. Plus, we can really fuel that economic future for Pennsylvania and make sure America is in the lead of that this economic revolution that we're in. That's quite frankly being driven by artificial intelligence. I mean, everything we do touch today, is basically driven in some way, shape, or form by artificial intelligence. So, Senator McCormick is very focused on ensuring that Pennsylvania leads the way for America in this new economic revolution. And what the challenges that we've had in Pennsylvania, we can produce all the gas we need, but we can't get it to market because we can't get pipelines in the ground. We can't get it to the consumer and to where it's needed most, in part because what we've seen is the weaponization of our regulatory structure as well as our court system. So Senator McCormick has introduced legislation that would cut through that weaponization and allow us to have a predictable regulatory climate under which we would operate, as well as put some guide rails around how the court system could be utilized moving forward. Right now, it's being abused, and it's being abused to basically prevent the build out and utilization of our God-given natural gas resources.
And Jim Welty, we're talking with Jim Welty, the president of Marcellus Shale Coalition. It is going from stem to stern, from production and all that forward. It is the cleanest energy resource we have. And I'm talking about wind, I'm talking about solar, all of them. It's the cleanest energy resource we have.
There has been no other energy resource that has done more to reduce environmental impact than natural gas. 46% reduction in CO2 emissions, 98% reduction in SOx emissions, 93% reduction in NOx emissions, all because of the transition to utilizing natural gas for our energy needs here in Pennsylvania. That's not my numbers. That's numbers directly from the Department of Environmental Protection that tracks this stuff. So you're absolutely right. It is a clean, reliable base load power that we need to ensure that we're powering our economy, our homes, and quite frankly, creating the jobs necessary for our economic future.
It really has been a godsend. You got to get frustrated sometimes fighting against the lies that they attack you with. They group natural gas in with other energy sources. They don't actually compare apples to apples with so-called renewable energy sources. And you've got to fight this fight every day.
Yeah, you're absolutely right, Bob. It is fear-mongering at its best, and we're seeing that. We see that play out throughout Pennsylvania, actually throughout the country. Look, it's the same playbook that's being run against data centers, and I'm not here to suggest, because I don't represent data centers. I represent those doing the drilling, those putting the pipe in the ground, processing the gas, and all the service supply chain and trade unions, quite frankly, that service those operators. But the same play that they used against the natural gas industry development, they're using against data center development. And these data centers have to get out, and the investors have to get out and communicate with their communities just the truth about what they're bringing to the equation, and cut through that fear-mongering that's going on. But that's the exact same playbook that was used and continues to be used against us to kind of prevent us from utilizing this resource. And honestly, it's why Senator McCormick is doing what he's doing in terms of the legislation that he's introduced. Well, as I said, he's trying to create that predictability and that operational certainty for our members.
Well, I've had Dave on a number of times. I know Dave well. He's saying, look, energy is the key to the future because it is the driver of artificial intelligence. I'm agnostic on the data centers because, for a lot of reasons. I'm not against them. I'm not for them. They are what they are. But yeah, to demonize them as something evil is it just doesn't make any sense. But you're right. It's the same playbook used against natural gas, which is our cleanest energy source. It's the cleanest we have, period.
Yeah, and we have policymakers in New York, for example, that have put up an energy blockade to all the consumers in New England, and they using the regulatory process to prevent pipelines from getting put in the ground. So Constitution Pipeline is a pipeline that would run from the northern energy fields of Pennsylvania into New England that would supply them with clean, reliable, low-cost energy. But because of the decisions of policymakers like Governor Kathy Hochul in New York, who have decided to weaponize the regulatory system to prevent that pipe from being put in the ground, which prevents all those jobs, prevents that low-cost energy going to those consumers. That is what Senator McCormick is trying to cut through. He's trying to create that predictability, as I said, for that process and put guide rails around what policymakers can and cannot do in that process.
Jim Welty, Marcellus Shale Coalition president. What are the prospects for Dave McCormick's legislation?
Well, I think we're pretty bullish on it right now. I think what we've seen is similar legislation in the SPEED Act passed out of Congress, out of the House of Representatives, and it is currently sitting in the Senate. Senator McCormick has his legislation. We do believe that there is very much bipartisan interest in seeing some guide rails put around our regulatory process and our court system so that we can continue to unleash American energy. So we're very hopeful that we'll see this come to finalization and get passed and to the president's desk. And we know that once this gets to the president's desk, he will quickly sign this because he wants nothing more than to unleash American energy.
Well, we will follow it. Jim Welty, President Marcellus Shale Coalition, thanks for being with us, and we're always available to you.
Thank you, Bob. Always a pleasure. You have a great day.
I will. I guarantee it. Hey, we'll take a break. We'll be back. It's the Bob Cordaro Show. Murph tells us this date, 1990, Aerosmith had their 18th career hit with What It Takes. And before that, in Bulldogs' history moment, 1945. Now, I'm listening to it in the beginning, and I wasn't looking at the text in front of me. And I'm going, what is this? Well, a Japanese balloon bomb, which they were planning to use against the coast. And it exploded. Gerhardt Mountain, Oregon. The pregnant wife of a minister and 5 children killed by the Japanese. World War II. The only deadly attack on the mainland, really, until 9/11. Man, that's something. I was aware of it, but it's good to be jarred and hear about it. Okay, did I say that was Aerosmith? 18th career hit, What It Takes. But something came out in the Daily Signal, and it's a post by Tyler O'Neill. The Justice Department just released its report on eradicating anti-Christian bias in the federal government. I want to read that again. Anti-Christian bias in the federal government. It is more sinister than you believe. And this analysis says, and it shows that the Biden administration was worse than we knew. And at the report, eradicating anti-Christian bias within the federal government. Mr. O'Neill continues, the Biden administration generally tolerated religious beliefs that were privately held, but zealously pursued actions to limit Christians' ability to act in accordance with their faith. Please remember the left-wing lunatics and today's Democrat Party. Religion is a problem for them. The report continues. The Biden DOJ targeted pro-lifers. FBI cited the Southern Poverty Law Center, the now disgraced Southern Poverty Law Center. Yeah, the ones that were funding the Ku Klux Klan and other racists that paid for the Charlottesville nonsense. But the SPLC assisted them in going after Catholics. The IRS denied a church tax-exempt status for Republican beliefs. And the Department of Education brought hefty fines against Christian colleges. The report also shows how the Biden administration demanded harsher sentences for pro-life protesters than pro-abortion vandals after the Dobbs decision. Remember how they were attacking pregnancy centers? These people are evil. Please, when I say evil, I don't use that lightly. This is the core ideology of today's Democrat Party. Please note this. The report notes that Biden championed the Equality Act, which would have treated Christians as second-class citizens. While Congress didn't pass it, because there were enough Republicans, the administration tried to force it through, redefining the law. Health and Human Services tried to exclude Christians from foster care. So if you were religious, they weren't going to allow you to have a child in foster care. And remember this greatest hit. The Biden administration didn't just celebrate Transgender Day of Visibility on Easter, but replaced faith outreach offices with DEI offices. The report also shows how various agencies applied religious accommodation processes in ways that functionally penalize Christians, like preventing a voluntary Bible study. Tyler O'Neill concludes the Trump administration is working hard to reverse these anti-Christian policies, but it is a gargantuan task. This report should remind all of us how important national elections are and how important not electing somebody like Paige Cognetti is. It's absolutely critical. We got to get out and vote. They're trying to destroy the country. They hate your religion, and even if you don't follow through a religious particular, Christianity, whatever, they hate your beliefs if you hold them. They're antithetical to big government and government power. They're antithetical to the Democrat Party. This is the evil we're fighting against. And by the way, everything they do, from their environmental policies, you name it, it is anti-American. It's intended to be so. It's intended to bring this country down a peg, or as many pegs as they can. And then they'd still be, you say, well, why? Because, let's go back to what I tell you. The Democrat Party and the left wing is funded by billionaires who hate this country and billionaire groups like Arabella. The Soros has contributed max to Paige Cognetti because she hates the country. She'll ruin the country. She'll do everything she can. It's that simple. It's that sad. It's that scary. And everything you believe in, whether it's religious based or not, they're against. Know it. Know it. And all we have to do, we don't have to storm any hills. We don't have to storm any beaches. We have to vote. We've got to communicate with those who are reachable. That's all. Not a lot to ask to save the damn country. We'll take a break. We're going to hear from our great sponsors and then talk about a couple of people who worked to save our country in our military. We'll be back. Our Veterans Tribute this hour as with every hour, this day as with every day, brought to you by our man John Basiliga. And on Tuesdays, we like to feature his great Serenity Care senior living facilities in the Mid-Valley, Old Forge, Wyoming, Kingston. Totally renovated inside and out. State of the art. The best there is. The gold standard for senior care in Northeast Pennsylvania. Dementia care units at the Mid-Valley and Kingston locations. Barry Ribble, late of Bonnie Lake, Washington. He was only 61 when he passed. He's a Stillwater area native, a decorated veteran. Born at the Bloomsburg Hospital. He and his wife, Nancy, would have celebrated their 38th wedding anniversary this July 16. Barry was a graduate of Benton High School and then entered the U.S. Army. He faithfully and honorably served this country, retiring after 25 years of active duty as a Warrant Officer 4 in 2008. During his military career, he served in Desert Storm and Operation Iraqi Freedom. Following his retirement from active military service in 2008, he worked as a government contractor until 2017, later working for civil service at Joint Base Lewis McChord. He was highly decorated and had been awarded the Meritorious Service Medal, the Army Commendation Medal for the 4th time, the Army Achievement Medal, Good Conduct Medal, National Defense Service Medal, and the Southwest Asia Service Medal with 3 Bronze Service Stars. The Non-Commissioned Officers Professional Development Ribbon with numeral 2. The Army Service Ribbon. The Overseas Service Ribbon, twice. The Kuwait Liberation Medal. Expert Marksmanship Qualification. Legion of Merit. The Bronze Star. And many, many more. It goes on. Amazing. He loved to golf, cook. Survived by family members, including his wife. But we lost him at age 61, Barry Ribble. Ted Stemrit, 99 years old when he passed. He was from Nescapec. Retired business owner and Blueberry Farm founder. We lost him April 8th. Born in New Angola, one of 10 children. He attended Stivers School in New Angola. For work, Ted painted bridges on the railroad in upstate New York. He served all of us in the U.S. Navy from 1944 to 1946 during World War II. He worked in the coal mines for 4 years as well. He later started working as a carpenter for Urbanski Construction and went on to open his own construction company before retirement. Met his love, Leona, in 1946. They dated 4 years before getting married in 1950. They raised 4 children, married 74 years before she passed in 2024. Ted was the founder of Stemrick Blueberry Farm, where he diligently worked with his son to establish the business. He'll be greatly missed by his daughters, his son, grandchildren, 11 great-grandchildren, 2 great-great-grandchildren. His brother also survives him, along with his brother's wife, nieces, nephews. Quite fascinating. Ted Stemrick. Our great veterans this hour, brought to you by John Basiliga and Serenity Care, the gold standard for senior living in Northeast Pennsylvania. AccuWeather forecast brought to you by the Great Gang at Montage Mountain. Today, breezy this morning with a thunder shower in spots. I think that's over. Partly sunny and warm, high 83. 76 on the mountain right now. Tonight, a couple of showers late, low 58. Tomorrow, breezy and cooler with periods of rain, high 66. It'll get down to 43 overnight. Thursday, breezy with variable cloudiness, a brief shower in the afternoon, high 58. So cooler Thursday, low 39. Friday, breezy with a blend of sun and clouds, high 60, low 45. Saturday, cloudy and cool with a couple of showers, 58 degrees, low 46. So enjoy the heat today. It's not going to stay with us. And that's your weather, brought to you by the great gang at Montage Mountain. Breaking Benjamin. They got local connections. And on this date in 2009, they released their hit, I Will Not Bow. By the way, and this was posted by some people on Instagram, speaking of Great Britain with their smoking insanity, the European exodus. Net migration from the EU plummeted, meaning that everybody's coming from somewhere else. And so they're letting people in from all over the place in Europe, and they're destroying their culture. By the way, because they don't cause them, and by the way, coming to America, coming to a theater near you, because they don't make them become acculturated, to make them part of their culture and society, because they're embarrassed of it, the scum that run these countries. Same thing in America. They don't assimilate and add to the culture, which has been America's strength forever. They simply set up their own separate gulags, their own separate societies within the country. Sharia law, the whole package. Unbelievable. These are frightening people. They actually want to destroy their own culture. And so do these Democrats in America. Absolutely insane. By the way, I had to get this. This got sent to my house. There's a guy named Steve from Wilkes-Barre. Now, they don't put his last name. This is probably a good idea because he's making a complete ass of himself. Congressman Rob Bresnahan should be standing up for seniors. Tell Congressman Rob Bresnahan to stop voting to cut Medicare. He never did, liar. This is brought to you by another one of these left-wing lunatic groups. Where the heck is it? Paid for by, what the hell? I'm looking for it. Yeah. If the guy says, I beat prostate cancer, but I need Medicare for ongoing checkups. I was so angry when I found out that Congressman Rob Bresnahan voted to cut Medicare to give tax breaks to billionaires. Steve, you're a stinking liar, and you're being used. It's actually disgusting. Paid for by Affordable Pennsylvania. See, they come up with all these names, and I'll rip it up and throw it in the garbage appropriately. These people are disgusting. They will lie about everything. Please don't be fooled. Don't fall for it. Couple of texts here. Bob LTS, you have to call balls and strikes. So many presidents fell victim to the price of a gallon of a gasoline. Nixon, Ford, Carter, Bush. The only to escape were Reagan and Clinton, who were both reelected. Bob, $5 a gallon gas puts a fork in the entire Republican Party. They're done. Unfortunately, back to insane Democrats. And you're right. No, if they don't get it, people are that way. People will vote and fall for the lies. And there's not much you could do about it. But I'll take the loss to eradicate the Iranian regime. I really will. It's that important. And they haven't done a great job selling that fact, but it's sadly true. One of the trolls. Bob, I'm glad you said it. Iran's missiles could not reach us. We were under no nuclear threat from them. Trump's war is fake. Well, you're stupid. Seriously, you're very stupid. You don't think it matters if they could blow up the Middle East, you dummy? You ridiculous dumbbell? You really don't care. Now, here's some of the air and water quality are a lot better since the 1970s. I don't want to go back to smog, acid rain, and not be able to eat fish out of the waterways. Yeah, well, troll. Okay. And what? What does that have to do with climate change? Seriously, what does it have to do? You're dumb. You continue to be dumb. You're compromised mentally. You're indoctrinated and too stupid to overcome it. Sorry. Somebody texts in, Trump is compromised. Israel has something over him. Well, my God almighty. What are you listening to? Candace Owens and Tucker Carlson, who are being paid by Muslim lunatics? Is that who you're listening to now? You're that weak. Really? Unreal. And that listener's very disappointed with them. Oh, Lord. Yes, saving the world and the world's economy and getting rid of a regime whose Nazi Germany 2.0, yeah, that's not worth the effort. And unfortunately, Europe is too weak. Tom from Dallas, the average natural gas price reached its highest level on record during Biden's presidency, with the daily average hitting a peak of $5.16 per gallon, with a 2022 average of $4.06. The average right now is $4.40 a gallon, so we're talking 40 cents more. Yes, we are, and okay, I'm okay with it. I really am, and it hurts. Believe me, it hurts. Small price to pay for what they're doing. Tenor Jim texts in. He says, your bumper music is the best. Well, that's our man, Murph. We can easily understand the lyrical messages, which are reflected by the corresponding tempo and range of musical instruments. It's not noise overpowering words. Yep. Well, we're headed to the top of the hour. But right now, we've got to get to the Bloomberg Money Minute, find out what's happening in the markets. They're generally positive today. My Bacardo Jewelers watch tells me it's 11:50 on the nose. So many great texts, by the way. Somebody says the Democrat Party has gone so far left, they now have a real Nazi Senate candidate in Maine. No pushback by the Democrats. Just full-hearted endorsements. Total insanity. Yeah, that's who today's leadership is. By the way, they had this idiotic, and it serves a purpose, the Met Gala. Okay? So you have this ass woman. She shows up with this probably $1 million dress. She's worth $12 million. And she wears dollars over her eyes, dollar bill over her eyes, in protest of the 1%. You see when I tell you there's zero self-awareness with these nutcases? Wow. By the way, my man Rick Bigelow points out on that one history moment with the balloon bombs. He says some 93, I can't read through the whole thing, but he says some 9,300 balloon bombs were launched at the U.S., including suspected, those including anthrax. Fascinating. The Japanese plan to launch float planes from I-400 submarines to spread germ warfare over Southern California. Oh, yeah, the Japanese, they were, crazy. Hey, let's go to Bill from Pittston. Bill, we've only got about 30 seconds, my man. Fire away.
Yeah, the old adage, if you don't study history, you're condemned to repeat the past.
Yep.
People have no sense of sacrifice anymore today. What's a couple bucks to get rid of these crazy Iranians threatening to blow up the world? People really need to learn the sacrifice that Christ has taught us to do.
Yep. Nuts stuff. I'm telling you, it's craziness. And there's various people spreading things like, they're anti-Jewish, anti-Israel, whatever. And people are falling for it. They're falling for it. Thank you, Bill. Well, it's time. Guys, I can only stay so long because Sue Henry comes in and she just says, get out. Thanks to Roach Supply, bringing us the live stream. 75 years in business, roachsupply.com, kitchen and bath extraordinaire, ROCHE. And Tina Morocco, global sales advisor at Sotheby's International Naples. Look at her under Sotheby's in Naples or her own website, Tina Morocco, MURACCO.com. You know it's great to be with you guys. Even the gang I disagree with, that's fine. You know we love you deep down. Hey, we got to go. My Picardo Jewelers watch says it's noon, and so I will do so. Reluctantly, though. God willing, I'll be back with you tomorrow morning. But for now, we need to gavel to a close today's meeting of the Club for Common Sense as Lenny Kravitz from 1999 sings Fly Away. And I must do so. I won't fly, I'll crawl. Have a great afternoon, everybody.